And now, Michigan Reimagined with Chris Buck.
So during the coronavirus, many small businesses are in distress, but others are finding a way to pivot and move forward. So here to discuss an investment and new offerings for clients is the owner and CEO of Michigan Creative, Mr. Brian Town. Welcome, Brian.
Hey, Chris. It's good to be back.
Good to see you. Yes,
You
friend
too.
of the show, but it's been a long time.
I know. Yeah, we got to get together more.
Count on it. Count on it. So for the world that doesn't know Michigan Creative, which is a pretty small group, but let's get them up to speed.
Yeah.
So what exactly does Michigan Creative do?
Yeah, Chris. So, we like to call ourselves a problem-solving company. We're a full-service marketing agency, but really what we love to do is solve problems for companies. And that sometimes has to do with brand. Sometimes it has to do with core values. A lot of it has to do with marketing. Obviously, we love to be able to go into a company and find out what they need. And then with our staff of 10, and we've got one in Richmond, Virginia, and one in Colorado, so we have 12. We can solve pretty much any problem they have in relation to how their business is structured and their marketing. So short answer, we're a full service marketing company, but we're creative, so we got to say something different.
Right. Understood. Okay. And speaking of creative, a few years ago, you moved down to Rio Town.
Yep.
So talk about that decision and why did that feel like the place that you wanted to call home?
Yeah, it's so funny because nine and a half years ago, when I just started the company, I can't remember why I was down in Rio Town because there was nothing there at the time. The pub was there, I think, and maybe one or two other places. And I thought, man, this is a really cool place because you just had some old buildings that were still boarded up. And I thought, man, that would be great to get down there one day. And then, of course, forgot about it. And then we were at the Tick in East Lansing. Then we were at the Neo Center in Lansing. And then opportunity came up with a friend and business partner. And he said, hey, we've got this space. And we've been there for almost 4 years now. And I love Rio Town, 4
years?
Yeah, almost, yeah.
Oh my
It'll
gosh.
be 4 years this spring. And yeah, I know, man. The cool thing about it is I always like to joke with people is I don't think we're cool enough to be an old town because we're not fancy enough. You know? But Rio Town kind of fits us.
It's not fancy. I mean, it's gritty.
Yeah, man.
It's a working man's part of the town, which is a great place for you to be.
Yeah, and we work with a lot of skilled trades and a lot of manufacturers, and it kind of fits our personality. I think we'll be there forever. The quote I heard a while ago, I can't remember who said it, is start to find out where the creative folks go, the creative food, the artists, those kind of things. And it wasn't us. We didn't start Rio Town. We came in after Saddleback and the pub and all those other places. But if you start to look where some creative food is happening, this placemaking thing, start to look to see, like Robin Theater was down there already.
Yep.
That's the areas that you're going to start to develop. And it's exactly what happened in Rio Town.
Yeah, put a lot of edgy and creative people in place. And
we do crazy
cool,
things.
Pretty good.
Yeah.
And you're upstairs, right? You don't have an elevator, do you?
No, I want a dumbwaiter down from Blue Owl and then over to Saddleback. But, when we first got there, we ate a lot of Saddleback and drank a lot of coffee and we got fat. And so now we...
and get one of those suction tubes like at the bank to ship you back up.
That'd be amazing.
Got it. Okay. So, you kind of answered it a little bit, but what kind of clients do you tend to work in? Who's your wheelhouse?
Yeah, we love skilled trades. So I'd say half of our clients are somehow related in the manufacturing space, skilled trades. They have a great message to get out there. It's they've been doing it forever. They just haven't done a good job of telling their story, especially in relation to what type of jobs they have and what they do and how important they are to our economy. They've always known it. I think people like you and I have always known it. But, we really love getting into that space in manufacturing and showing what's available for people in jobs and really talk about how big that is for our state. So that is good. We also like working with large nonprofits. Startups, too, are just a, passion of mine. So we really have, we have some big clients that are in the youth sports arena. And so really any customer that has, a big staff, but they don't have their marketing department kind of figured out yet, or they only have one person. I mean, that's who we were looking for. Right.
And the manufacturing industrial group, in previous conversations and even socially, we've discussed that tends to be an industry that really doesn't prioritize their image and their brand, right? And you use the phrase dark, dirty, and dangerous once, and that was always stuck in my head. It's probably years ago that you even said that to me. But that's not what they are today.
Not at all.
Right. And they need to put their best foot forward on behalf of the employment opportunities and and their longevity and just for the good of the state. I mean, we're such a manufacturing based state. So,
and there's just so many of these young people that we see, and being a former educator, it was like you don't have to go to college necessarily.
Right.
It is the other college. I mean, these kids are going out. I met a 14-year-old who yesterday at a manufacturing plant in Holly, Michigan, and he was one of the sons of the owners. This kid, I mean, he knows how to weld. He knows how to do all this stuff. I mean, he's set for life.
Right.
And, it's those kind of stories that make you go, my son who's 16, Jack, that might be a good option for him. And he's talked about it. So I think, just telling that job story for manufacturers works for marketing for their products, but it also really shows people that there's so many opportunities that sometimes are overlooked.
Right on. So I saw on social media that there's this new fledgling partnership and called Haptix Studios. So what is it, and what are you going to do with it?
Yeah, Chris, unfortunately we couldn't have a big party due to COVID, but Haptix Studio is a big deal for this area. And I think the biggest part of it, it's a partnership with the Lansing School District and T3.
Really?
And some of the Ingham Intermediate School Districts that we've partnered up with them. And the biggest piece of this, now there's a professional audio studio, there's also a TV studio and a classroom. But the thing that really, people in Lansing need to understand how big of a deal is to have a facility like this in Lansing is the motion capture piece of this. And it's the biggest motion capture virtual reality studio in the Midwest. And it's here in Lansing in one of the old schools at Harry Hill on the south side of Lansing. And it is the biggest. There's no one that has that many cameras in the Midwest. From here to, New York, there's one. There's some smaller ones. And then California, obviously, they have a bunch. But this motion capture studio is a big deal for Lansing because it's going to start to bring in some big players that want to rent that facility.
So what does that mean for those of us who have no idea what you're talking about?
Yeah, it takes a minute.
Yeah. So what do you what's the end result? What are you making?
So the best way I can describe what a motion capture studio has 52 cameras around it. And if you've ever played Madden, if you've ever played Call of Duty, if you've ever watched Lord of the Rings, you'll notice in there that there's characters that look like they're real. And so they were at one point a real person who had those dots.
Right. Okay.
And they have suits on, and they have these really reflective dots on them. And those cameras pick up those dots. And so when you make a movement, you make a football move, and you dive to get a catch like our lovely Spartans did when they beat the Wolverines. We capture that movement. And so you can capture this movement, and then you see this sort of dot array of limbs and things moving. And then the people at Haptix, Great Lakes Reality Labs, can take that and map any character on top of that. And so the implications, for Hollywood studios to use it. The reason why we partnered with the schools is the virtual reality and skilled trades. So we can put a student in the studio with a virtual reality headset on, and they can walk into somebody's home and greet them at the door, and it looks like somebody's home, and say, "Hey, ma'am, I'm here from Headland Plumbing. And I heard you have a problem with the sink," and they can go over to the sink and they can repair it virtually. It's crazy.
Yeah. Okay. My mind just kind of exploded. So let me get some oxygen here and I'll figure this all out. So that's fantastic. Okay. So all right. So the model that's wearing the suit or whatever that has all the dots on it or whatever goes through the motions, and then that's recorded. And then they could, after the fact, make that Tinkerbell or Batman or whatever doing that same motion. Yep. So you kind of just create this big portfolio of motions and movements, and then you could turn it into whatever you want.
That's right. Yep. And Great Lakes Reality Labs is a partner in this, so we're a partner in this.
I was going to ask you about them. So how did that begin, and who are they? And I mean, were they just friends who had an idea with you, or were you led to them by the schools? Yeah.
So Jim Curran, who is one of the co-founders of Great Lakes Reality Labs, and Tommy Tong, he is the CEO over there, and he's just a great young man. And Jim came to me and they said, "Hey, we're doing this virtual reality thing at Great Lakes Reality Labs that might be great for skilled trades." And I was like, "Sign me up." And so we got to see some of the scenarios they were using for the students. And so basically what they're creating for the Ingham Intermediate Districts is this library of scenarios: how to fix a sink, how to weld, how to, put a socket into the side. And instead of, having people come into the schools, like, you get a old salty plumber going, this is a great career.
Right.
These kids are like snoozing. They have headsets that they can download from this library that Great Lakes Reality Labs has created. And they can say, well, show me what the plumbing looks like. Show me what the welding looks like. And for kids, it's a game and it's great. And so that's kind of what they do. And then he started talking about, hey, we're thinking about this motion capture thing and love to get you on a partnership to see if you could, use it, some of the studio, because it's a big space. I'm like, we need a white wall, we need some professional audio equipment, and we need a classroom. And he's like, let's do it. And so he took care of the motion capture side, and then we kind of outfitted the infinity wall, and we're going to use the classroom to teach kids here what it's like to work in media and get kids involved, and kids will be there almost every day. And depending on how COVID shakes out.
Right. So talk about that for a second. How much of this was driven by the schools? You said this is Lansing Public Schools?
Yep, Lansing Public Schools, the ISDs, T3, and Capillary Michigan Works. And so this is going to be used for the intermediate school districts. And the plan is right now to have students there in the morning to sort of learn, not just motion capture, not just VR, but if you walk in that studio, there's 30 jobs that a kid could do, right? And so they could say, I want to learn about audio. I want to learn about voiceovers. I want to learn about photography. I want to learn about video, and we can teach them about all the different career paths that they could go down.
Right.
And then the motion capture studio, really, it was founded on this idea in Great Lakes Reality Labs. Jim founded it on the idea of, we got all these kids in this game industry in Michigan State, and they graduate and they leave. And Jim's like, I want to keep them.
Right.
And that's where Tommy came from. And that's where, we're really starting to go, hey, you don't have to necessarily leave and go to LA and New York. You could do all this work right here in Lansing, Michigan.
Fantastic. So it sounds like this whole plan was in play before the pandemic, right? We're recording this in November of 2020 for those listening later on. So, but it sounds like this is a timeless, regardless of the pandemic.
Sure.
This is an investment that is going to pay dividends for the long haul.
Yeah.
So the pandemic didn't disrupt your plan, is my point.
It slowed it down.
Okay.
Because the delivery of the equipment, like you've got to go in there,
right.
Chris, to see. I mean, once you see it, you'll go, oh my gosh, this is a big deal. And it's in a former school in Lansing on the south side. Like, tell me more. It did slow it down a little bit, and we were going to have a huge party to show everybody. And we've had people come in. The chamber came in. We've had other, all the superintendents came in. And so it did slow it down a little bit, but it's open and it's available to rent to the public. And so that's what our next push is, to get people to understand that, hey, you can rent this. You need the white wall for 2 hours, you can rent it. You need somebody to help you with a voiceover, you can rent it. You need somebody to, design a game for you, you can do that. And I think, the long term of this, and my favorite thing when people come in is now when they say, hey, could we map this character and maybe make this virtual event? We're like, yeah, I think we probably can. And we can, because we have the equipment there to do it.
So who are the renters going to be? I mean, you talk about what they might rent the space for, but who exactly would those people be?
Yeah, so high-end film, from all over the place will want to rent that. Game designers, possibly the big three who need to do some virtual reality.
Right.
Creative agencies like myself, independent photographers, businesses that want to create a bunch of content, and also do some virtual reality. We're hoping to have the creative space so that if somebody wants to come in and just get out of the office, do some creative stuff, white walls are all over the place.
Right.
And then create some content for their business. So I think, anyone that wants to create content, anyone that needs to or wants to get into this virtual reality world, that would be who. So it's open to anybody who wants to rent it. So
I'm not familiar with where this is. Is this a school that's empty?
Yeah.
Or did you? Okay. So is there room to create a, like a TIC or a NIO or a where was the second place you were located?
Oh yeah, the Neo Center.
Neo Center. Like, I mean, is there a place for people to occupy other space, even if they're not using that specific facility to I mean, obviously deals would need to be made. And I can't have you promise. I'm sure you're not going to be able to promise this on the air, but there's space, right?
Sure, there is space.
If there's coattail opportunities to fill up this old school with people who have that same brain.
Well, the school's still in operational. It's at the Hill Community Center that used to be a school, and that's where the police department is.
Got it. Okay.
And so the piece of the building that we're in is actually in the old wood shop.
Oh, sweet. Okay.
Yeah, so it's perfect.
No wood shop anymore.
No.
The school my kids go to.
Yeah, I know. But, at least we're still doing that skilled trades, so we're still in that where you have to have a skill to be able to come in here.
It's a new skilled trade.
It is.
Right. Okay. So how would people learn more about Haptix and Michigan Creative?
Yep. They can call us at Michigan Creative or visit our site, michigancreative.com, or just go to haptixstudio.com.
Haptix Studio,
Yep,
Haptix.
That's right.
Studio.com.
Yes, sir.
We've been talking to Brian Town, the owner and CEO of Michigan Creative, and he's been partnering with Great Lakes Reality Labs on Haptix Studio. Fantastic having you in again.
Thanks, brother.
Not so long next time.
I know.